A few years ago, I got on the Frownies bandwagon after I noticed I had developed 11 lines from furrowing my brows in my sleep. Now, these 11 lines didn't look like your typical 11 line, at least on this side of my forehead, because it's like my corrugator muscle was permanently raised without physically contracting my muscle. I never thought I would develop wrinkles because most of my life my skin has been very, very oily. But what I realized is I was furrowing my eyebrows in my sleep due to an immense amount of stress I was enduring dealing with my ex-husband harassing me almost daily for over a year. I was stressed out all the time, plus juggling a demanding job, and it wasn't until I took a picture of myself outside one morning that I realized the damage I had already done. And you may be wondering how the heck I didn't notice these lines before. Well, they weren't really noticeable in indoor lighting, to be honest, and I wasn't obsessing over my skincare at the time because I was just in major survival mode at the time. So to attempt to address the damage I had already done, I decided to get Botox. Just kidding. I started wearing Frownies, which were amazing. I will admit the smell of Frownies is a bit off-putting, but I eventually got used to it. Last I read they use some type of potato starch glue, which gives them that funky smell, and I have to say the smell reminded me somewhat of vomit or rotten food, but definitely not as bad as the real thing, and like I said, I got used to the smell. I also think they add some type of spearmint scent to help with the smell, but of course it doesn't hide the completely funky smell. But anyways, the Frownies dramatically lessened my 11 lines. They lowered the bump on the left side of my forehead, but not entirely, and they made my forehead incredibly smooth looking. But what I eventually realized was that simply Frownies wasn't going to cut it if I wanted to see even more improvement in my forehead. So then I started doing myofascial face massage and osteopathic face techniques from both of these accounts on Instagram because I needed to release that muscle tension in my face, especially where my 11 lines were. And both of those programs from those two accounts on Instagram helped me soften the lines on my forehead even more, and I still do them to this day. Around that time, I became curious about Japanese face tape that a popular Instagram influencer was promoting, so I decided to give it a try in place of Frownies because I heard that face tape is supposed to work even better. But not only that, it's supposed to allow your skin to breathe, unlike Frownies, allow lymph flow, unlike Frownies, address muscle and fascial tension, unlike Frownies, and lastly, you can place it on other areas of the face to address wrinkles and sagging skin, and not just your forehead. While they do have other Frowny patches that can be placed around the eye area in nasolabial folds, I would always wake up with lines from the patches in my nasolabial fold region, which is why I only stuck with the forehead Frownies. And as a disclaimer, I am very prone to long-lasting skin indentations. For instance, I used to get temporary lines on my face from my pillowcase at night, and those lines would take hours to go away in the morning. And then there was another time I had an IPL facial where I had to wear protective goggles over my eyes. And when the IPL facial was over, my esthetician was shocked by the indentations that the goggles left on the bridge of my nose. Of course, hours later, they went away, but they had never seen anything like that before. And I'm telling you this because I'm 99% sure that I have a connective tissue disorder known as EDS. So I have to be very careful when it comes to what I do with my skin. Now back to the face tape. If you didn't already know, the face tape that I'm referring to is basically kinesiology tape, but it's special because the adhesive is not as strong as regular kinesiology tape, making it much more suitable for sensitive areas of the body like the face. Because the skin on our face is so thin and fragile, you don't want to be putting strong tape on your face that's going to tug at your skin when you try to remove it, especially if you're like me and you have EDS. Now, I have read crazy threads online where people say they use regular kinesiology tape or even duct tape as a face tape alternative. And while I don't doubt that those actually work, it would be very damaging to use that on your skin when you pull it off. Plus, who knows what kind of chemicals are in the adhesive in duct tape. Actually, let's take a look right now. Okay, so I got the Japanese face tape and I honestly wasn't impressed at first. After giving the face tape a try for a few weeks, I felt like the tape wasn't strong enough to release my 11 lines, and I felt like the Frownies actually were working better. As a matter of fact, I felt like the face tape was making my forehead wrinkles worse because I noticed that my forehead muscles right here were going inward even more than they had before, and I was developing fine lines showing that movement going inward. So I went back to using the Frownies for a little while, and then I came across another account on Instagram known as Catherine Romine, I think, where she swears by face taping. And what I realized is I was taping incorrectly. I was placing one piece of tape over my 11 lines from the left side to the right side, and then that was making the situation worse. And that's when I noticed that new lines were popping up in between my brows. So I was placing a piece of tape right here when I should have been placing it like this instead. If you don't know anything about facial anatomy or muscle anatomy and you want to try face tape, I highly recommend learning face muscle anatomy basics. Once I studied Catherine's Instagram page thoroughly, I finally realized the best way to tape my 11 lines, and it involves using 2 pieces of tape like I had mentioned earlier, and not one. I'm not going to go through the entire process, but I highly recommend checking out her page to learn more. I tried this method for a few weeks, and honestly, I didn't think it was working, but after a few more weeks of patiently waiting, releasing muscle tension, and retraining my muscles with the tape, my lines were finally starting to diminish, and that bump I have right here went down even more. While it hasn't completely gone down and I can still see it in natural daylight when I'm outside, I'm very impressed with how it looks so far. Now I also like to use the face tape for my nasolabial folds and occasionally my under eye area, but I won't get into that right now. I have fallen in love with this tape and I just love it so much. If you're interested in the Japanese face tape that I use, I'll link it down below. It's actually the same tape that a popular Instagram influencer sells, but it's half the price of what she charges. The other Instagram influencer, Catherine, which I'll link below, she also sells stronger face tapes that I haven't tried because I'm afraid it may be too strong for my delicate skin. She also has a face tape course that you may want to check out. I've thought about buying it myself just to learn how to better support my skin and tape my face like a pro, but I haven't purchased it yet. And this video is not sponsored by anyone or anything mentioned in this video. I'm just sharing what's been helpful for me. If you found this video helpful, I would so appreciate it if you would like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.